I love this mic, the MikTek CV4. It's a tube condenser, switchable patterns. You can put it anywhere and it sounds great. This was my first nice mic I ever got, and I still use it and abuse it to this day, and it sounds great. There was a time not so long ago I couldn't hear it. I haven't talked about this a whole lot on the channel. There was a time I was scared for my job, or my chosen profession, as it were. I remember coming into a session and I had to turn to one of the players who's become a very good friend, somebody I genuinely trust. But I turned to him during the session and I said, I need you to be my ears. I can't hear. It was obviously really scary. I didn't know what was going on. It was definitely one of those, I'm getting old, is my body failing me? Were the times that I used to tour in a rock band like finally catching up with me and I wasn't gonna be able to hear anything? Am I screwed at this point? And I really didn't know what to expect. And of course, me being me, I'm not one to go to the doctor. When I noticed something wrong, I kind of ignored it for as long as I could, thinking this will go away, and it really didn't. Oh. But the weird thing for me was I really started to notice a difference, oddly enough, in the shower. As I was washing my hair, when I inevitably cover one ear and you can hear the sound of the water falling around your body, and then I cover the other ear and I noticed it wasn't the same. I could hear high frequencies in my right ear, but I had nothing in the left. I could hear rumbles and stuff like that, but anything intelligibility-wise, nothing in my left ear. Really weird. So at the time, I just kind of thought it wasn't that big of a deal. I could figure it out. I had mixes going on that were pretty far along in the process, and I was checking them with other engineers that I trusted. So I knew I wasn't royally screwing up these mixes because they'd already gotten to a point where the clients liked them. So, hey, this will go away in a couple days, it'll be fine. But it actually got to session day where I had to listen to things and make decisions about tracking. And I started to get really nervous. So I needed help. Really starting to like this thing on guitar cabs. The session ended up fine. Honestly, because I was listening so critically through the whole thing and I had help on every front and I was honest about what was happening, we ended up getting some of the best tones that I've gotten out of any session ever. Or at least up to that point. Man, I know why they do this, but I hate when companies put the resizer things in there. I mean, I get why you do it, but now my mechanical room is filled with hundreds of these tiny little adapters that I'll never use. The session ended up fine, and I got through it just fine, but that was the point I really realized I needed to go and figure out what was going on. Because I didn't know if there was something weird going on with my brain or if I was completely losing hearing in my ears. I didn't know what was going on, and it was scary, and I'm one of those people who would never go to the doctor anyway, but it was starting to affect my work and how I felt, so I needed to go. I started with my normal doctor, I went to an ENT, and then I ended up at my dentist, of all places. So my dentist started asking me questions like, how are things going in your life? Are you more stressed than normal? She asked if I grind my teeth. My initial answer was no, I don't grind my teeth, at least I don't think so. They took scans of my mouth and we found out I'm grinding my teeth quite a bit, and it turns out it was in my sleep. I had no idea. Now what that turned out to be, they said it was something called TMJ. So I go and get a hearing test. The hearing test comes back fine. This is where I pretend to know what I'm talking about medically. It was irritating something called my eustachian tube, which was causing an inflammation around my ear canal, and it was physically constricting it. So a quick trip back to my dentist, and they fit me for something that I wear through the nighttime. And this thing, if any one thing has been more responsible for my career, it's this right here. And I'm not going to show you too much because it's a little gross, but it's just something that I put on my teeth and wear at nighttime. It's that simple. I can't talk with it in. It's pretty weird. But just the simple action of wearing that while I was sleeping And it didn't fix my grinding issues. Those are some demons that I'm going to have to deal with for a long time, and judging by the age of my children, I'm going to continue to do that for a while. But it took the pressure off of my jaw when I was grinding my teeth in my sleep. Just like that, I could hear again. It's an odd story for sure, and something weird to even talk about and bring up personally like this. But when somebody asks about hearing issues and what have you gone through, it really got me thinking about this. And I would imagine I'm not the only person that this affects. And if you notice weird things going on, get your hearing checked out. Even if nothing else than to know what your weaknesses are. Now I know all the frequencies I can hear in both ears and how I respond to those in different environments. And there's obviously things that can change with that, but knowing where you are and what your limitations are, and if there are issues that you can get them fixed, is huge. And I put it off too long, and there's definitely some jaw issues that I have that can come back and create more issues with my ears. But all that to say, what we do it is our ears. Yeah, we use our eyes, we use our hands, but our ears do the work. And sure, there's things that are, taste comes into play, environment comes into play, but if we can't hear what we're doing, I put so much, I'm pointing at my monitors, you can't see those. I put a lot of emphasis on getting the monitoring as good as you can for your environment. And no room can possibly be perfect, but if you can't hear it to begin with, it doesn't matter if you toss a $4,000 microphone at something or a $99 microphone at something. I will say this, for that session when I wasn't totally sure what I was hearing and if I could trust myself, I was not concerned about the $4,000 mic or the $99 mic. That was not where my mind went. My mind was going back to the fundamentals. How can I make sure this source sounds good? I can hear enough to make sure these drums are in tune. I can at least do that. I can hear enough to make sure there's not too much rattle on the snare. I can hear that. I can make sure these guitars are in tune as good as they can possibly be after every single take. I can hear that. I can make sure there's nothing mechanically wrong. I can hear that. And I just put mics up and hope for the best. And honestly, it was one of the better experiences I've had recording. I didn't think about the back end of it. I was concerned with making the source sound as good as it could possibly sound. And wouldn't you know it, after I got everything taken care of and I could hear again, I realized how good that session sounded. I definitely learned something. I wouldn't recommend you try to learn it the same way. But I will say this, if you have any issues with your ears, get it checked out. Even tinnitus, there's things that they can do now. I'm trying to plan out videos centered around issues with our ears that we deal with, given the weird environments that we come from. Some of us played in loud rock bands for a long time. Or maybe your day job is somewhere where you work in a factory and it's crazy loud. So taking the small steps and making sure you protect the one thing that allows you to do what you love to do is always worth it. Take the extra time and put in your earplugs. Turn your headphones down. I feel like such a dad saying this right now, but you kids in your loud music, you need to knock it off. But seriously, be careful. Because until you're up against the wall and you really don't know if you're gonna hear again, it's a really, really scary moment. Mine ended up totally fine. I just have to wear a retainer for the rest of my life. But I can deal with that to continue to do what I love to do every day. Anyway, guys, if you can relate to this, let me know in the comments down below. I'm sure there's different stories that other audio engineers have. I know a lot of people who deal with different issues hearing-wise, and yet we still do what we do. So if you guys struggle with things like this, please let me know in the comments down below. I'm sure I'm not the only one to have gone through something like this. If you guys like this video, hit the like button. Subscribe if you like what we're doing here. If you want to work with me in any aspect, there are links in the description below. Please check those out. Feel free to contact me. I love talking to you guys. Thanks for making it to the end of the video. Love you guys. See you in the next one.